Good evening. Thank you so much, Coriel, for inviting me to this platform. I am elated. I'm thankful. I'm honored to be able to share my story and the lessons that I learned. Stay tuned. Hello? Yeah, Mom, I am done. I'm tired, Mom. I'm ready. I'm ready to come home. I really need your help. I feel broken and I can't do this anymore. That was my story. That was my experience 5 years ago, where I found myself in a toxic work environment, out of state, away from my family, away from my parents, in my first marriage, married to a toxic job, and married to what I know now was then a toxic first marriage. I found myself for the third time crying, broken down on that cold bathroom floor in that 2-bedroom apartment, trying to figure out, how did I get here? Talking to God, pleading with God for a way of escape, listening to Jessica Reedy over and over. I will get through this. It gets better. If you have not heard that song, you need to. Jessica Reedy's better. I finally mustered up the courage, swallowed my pride, and called my mom. I needed help. I knew she was not going to judge me, but I needed a shovel. I felt like I was dug in a hole. I was digging myself into a hole, and I needed that shovel. I needed somebody to tell me that it was okay and to let me know that I had choices. That was a tough moment, but I'm here as a witness. I'm here as a testament for those of you on this call that either themselves may be feeling like you're digging yourself through that hole, or you're in the bottom of your hole, or you know somebody that's in that hole. There is a way of escape. I couldn't figure it out, at least not in the moment, because I did all the things. I went to school. I got all the degrees. So I don't know if you know, but I'm a pediatric dentist. I did all the things. I went to grad school. I got a doctorate. I went to residency, even further training, and got specialized training to treat kids. I mean, I had it going on, or so I thought. Instead of shacking up, like the conservative Christian belief that I grew up in, instead of shacking up, I got married. I was not having quote unquote premarital sex. I did all the things that I knew to do, but it just wasn't working out for me. Y'all get this, I even dimmed my own light so that my ex could shine. I didn't put up all my degrees because I got tired of being out in public, and the people who we were meeting for the first time would say, "Oh, Dr. Frazer, you're a dentist. Oh, cool." And then they would look at my ex-husband and say, "Oh, are you a doctor too?" And then when I got home, he let me have it. He unfortunately projected his insecurities on me. But as my father said it best, I saw the signs. I saw the signs when we were dating, but I really wanted the relationship, and I made red flags yellow. So I'm going to pause right here, because so many of us dim our lights so that other people around us could shine. But what I know now, 5 years later, what I know to be true is that no matter how dim I make my light, or I could even out my light, if the other person doesn't heal from their childhood traumas, if the other individuals aren't working on themselves, if the other individuals aren't pouring into themselves and filling their own cups, no matter how dim I make my light, they will never feel like it's okay for them to shine. They will never tap into the source. Because how do we expect people to show up and do things for us that they are not equipped to do? They can't give us what they don't have. That was my solution then, but it's no longer my solution now. I'm here to tell you the 3 things that I did in order to fill my PMS cup. Yes, I'm about to give y'all PMS. In order to show up, not just with a mask, not just smiling with my big bright lipstick and my big green earrings, faking it, but showing up authentically. I learned what I needed to do to overcome physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional burnout. I had enough, y'all. And it took me leaning into my support system, taking off the mask, showing myself to a small group of people, my mom, my best friend, and allowing myself to feel the pain, to feel the hurt, and growing through what I was going through in order to come out better on the other side. Too long and too often, we suffer in silence. So I'm here showing up today for you, yes, you, to let you know that you no longer have to suffer in silence and that there's hope at the end of the tunnel. Y'all ready? Lean in, stay tuned. So I made reference to the PMS cup. That stands for physical, mental, and spiritual. I'll even go as far as to say spiritual/emotional cup. I back then was exhausted. I was depleting. And I was like, we all say, you can't pour from an empty cup. I was fully depleted. And I was showing up for everyone else and pouring from this empty cup, but no more. What I learned was that I think I shared with you that I was a dentist earlier, that for me, I couldn't turn my head to the right. I couldn't raise my hand because my mental stress was manifesting itself physically. I had so much pain that, I mean, I would go out with my friends and put on my little kitten heels, and I was walking hunched over because I had so much chronic pain. That mental stress was manifesting itself in the knots, in the joints, in my base. I was struggling. So now we'll focus on the physical pillar. We're going to do those 3 pillars: physical, mental, and spiritual. But I'll start with those of us that are out there that have pain. So if you have chronic pain, I'm here. If you don't have chronic pain, I'm here to encourage you to start moving, because physical movement actually helps to release endorphins, which is that feel-good hormone in our brains, that dopamine, that same hormone that's released when we have sex, that same hormone that's released when we drink that cup of coffee, or we eat that chocolate, or we do things that excite us. Those endorphins make us feel good. You can mimic that. Going for even just a walk for 30 minutes each day. Break it up. 15 minutes on your lunch break and maybe 15 minutes when you get home. If you have young kids, because I know a lot of us are moms, put the kids in the strollers and get going. Or have the kid walk next to you. Have your baby walking next to you. Even until they start to fuss or whine, you can put them back in the stroller. But get moving. Movement reduces your risk of stroke. I think I said it earlier that it improves your mood and it just makes you feel good. And when you feel good, believe it or not, mommies, your whole household feel good. So if you're not a mom, if you're a single woman, whatever that looks like for you, if you feel good mentally, you show up differently. So get moving. I'd love to make a recommendation for a free app. It's called the Insight Timer. It's an app that I use. I have the paid version, but there's also a free version to the app. They have yoga, free yoga in that app, and it is amazing. You can even set the time for how much you want to do. Or how about yoga on YouTube? There's a young lady, Yoga for Adrian. She's great because she'll take you step by step, and she has hundreds of free videos on YouTube. So start there. No one has to be watching. Move your body. It's going to help you feel better. I'll transition to those of us who had chronic pain. I think I shared with you earlier that I could not turn my head this way. I cannot raise my hand. I do that now every time I give this talk because I'm so proud that I'm able to do that, because 5 years ago, I wasn't able to do that. So if you have chronic pain, I'm going to recommend that you do a couple of these. It doesn't have to be everything, but at least do 2 of these things I'm going to recommend. So I call it your 5-member wellness team. 5-member wellness team. Start with your primary care physician. That chronic pain, you want to make sure that there's nothing going on with your kidneys. There's nothing seriously going on with your liver, your back. They'll run those tests. Go and get your annual exam. Make sure that there's no underlying disease that's causing your dis-ease. So start with your primary care doctor. If you don't have one, reach out to me. We'll get you one. Google is a great resource. Look on Google reviews. Of course, use that. Use your proper judgment with those reviews, because a lot of people go on there when they're angry or upset or they don't get what they want. So use your judgment, but start there. Even if they're not your favorite person and you go to get a checkup, start there if you're in chronic pain. The next member of your 5-member wellness team is a physical therapist. So sometimes, and in my case, that was it. The muscles are so tight that a physical therapist sometimes will have to dry needle you in order to release that stress and tension. Or sometimes, especially if you have a desk job, if you're constantly hunched over, or you're in the same positions all day long, the muscles will start getting weak on one part of your body. In this case, if you're hunched over, the front part of your body will get weak, and the the front part will get strong and the back part will get weak. So then you'll have those muscle imbalances. And a good physical therapist will help you to strengthen those muscles in your back and flex the ones in the front. So they'll teach you exercises that is specific for the things that you need, the ailments that you're having. So after you go to your PCP, your primary care physician, the next step, if you're having chronic pain, that's pain all the time, you can't figure out what's going on, go see a physical therapist. Sometimes a physical therapist will recommend a chiropractor. That's your 3rd member, because even though you adjust the muscles, sometimes the bones, especially the ones in your back, will need to be placed in proper alignment. So check out that chiropractor. They're there. I was so terrified, y'all, to go, but I was open with my chiropractor, and I was honest with him. And I went to a chiropractor that someone else was going to. So I had a good recommendation. And I told him that I was afraid. And a good professional will hear you, and they will see you, and they'll understand you, and they'll take their time with you. The next person. So most people, when I say this, most people are like, oh, she's going for a frou-frou massage. But in actuality, a massage therapist that I'm going to recommend is one who will do myofascial release. So without getting too sciencey, your muscles are in your body are almost protected by this white sheet on top, and that gets really tight. It's called fascia. It gets really tight. But a good massage therapist, one that can do tension relief or myofascial release, they will release that fascia, that protective layer, and help it to relax so that your muscles can start to move, and you'll feel better. You'll feel better longer. So I'm not knocking the self-care feel-good massages. They're great, but this is for people that really have chronic pain, that really need therapy. It's not just a massage for comfort. Those are great, but when you have chronic pain, you need more. So Google it. There's so many really good myofascial therapists, but you have to have those keywords in order to find what you need. So you need therapy. the last person I'm going to recommend, I hope it doesn't scare you, but it's your personal trainer. So when I was having that really bad pain, I mean, everything was so tight. I got a personal trainer. I worked with Holly for about, I think it was 2 years. Everyone is different. I'm not recommending committing to this for a lifetime because I no longer work with her right now. But during the period of time where I was having that excruciating pain, she really took what I learned at the chiropractor, what I learned from my physical therapist, even the things that I learned from my massage therapist that was trained in myofascial therapy. And she continued that because I didn't see a physical therapist for an extended period of time. I stopped. So the personal trainer, especially one that works with people that have been injured, there's a difference. I did not want to go to somebody at a gym that was going to say, go get it, and just push you, push you, push you. Holly, the therapist, excuse me, the personal trainer that I had, she worked with a lot of athletes that were injured. So she was very focused on not just me getting a good workout and getting an effective workout, but posture and mobility as well as flexibility. So you need both. You don't just need somebody that's just going to yell at you and tell you to get it done because you're injured in essence. I mean, it's something to accepting it. The next step is your mental therapy. We talked about the physical cup. We talked about if you don't have pain, get moving. We talked about if you have chronic pain, what can you do to help advocate for yourself? That's something you're going to hear me say over and over and over in this talk is you have to be your best and your first advocate because no one's going to advocate for you. The next bucket is your mental bucket. So we said your PMS, right? I'm giving you PMS. So we talked about the physical bucket. Let's talk about the mental bucket. After my divorce to my first husband, yes, I've been remarried. I'm thankful I got remarried last year. But after my divorce, I felt really sad. So I was never diagnosed with clinical depression, but I was really sad. Like I couldn't get out of bed. I was living back with my parents. I honestly was just leaning on my support system. And mentally, I felt broken down. My self-esteem was low. My self-acceptance, my self-awareness, all these things, how I viewed myself. Because what I know now is just because someone doesn't see my value does not mean that it changes. And let me lean in when I say that. Just because someone else does not see your worth does not mean that your value changes. I gave away my power. I don't want you to do the same. Ooh, that feels so good to say that. Ooh, just because someone else does not see your worth does not mean that your value changes. What I did, I put my identity in being a wife. I made my identity with being a doctor. I mean, I just literally depended on somebody else to fill me, to tell me I was pretty, to let me know that I was enough. You are enough. I am enough, whether somebody else sees it or not. Start with those affirmations, even if you don't believe it. I'm going to go back to my therapist. That's something she and I worked with. I think I started by saying I was really, really sad. And I started with BetterHelp because, y'all, I went to work. I think I was working 1 day a week at the time. I was done. I just did not feel like I was adding value to myself or those around me. And I started working with 4 therapists, one at a time. But I'll pause by saying, don't be afraid to vet different therapists. I remember having one session with a therapist and it was just not working out. and they're okay with it. If you say, I'm going to try somebody else, they're okay with that. So I vetted 4 therapists until I found my therapist who I worked with for a full year. I did talk therapist. And one of the major things that she taught me, other than how to pour into myself and to see my own value, she did that through affirmations. And we just talked about childhood. But one of the major things that I needed help with is releasing control. Yeah, I smile because a lot of us struggle with that. I needed to release control. She had me draw a circle, and inside of the circle were all the things I could control: myself, how I responded to others, how I showed up for myself, what I prioritized for myself. So all the things in that circle all had to do with me. I could only control Dr. Trudy-Ann. I could only control Trudy. Outside of the circle was everybody else. I couldn't control my ex. I couldn't control how he saw himself. I couldn't control how others perceived me. I think I told you I came from a very conservative Christian belief. I couldn't control if somebody talked about me for getting a divorce because they weren't living my life. I literally learned that diagram has shifted my perspective since then. I'm sure if you Google it, control circle, you'll find it. Releasing the things that I could not control. I was able to shift my perspective. And what I learned was that the underlying layer of me trying to control was really fear. I feared things. And because I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, I was afraid. I tried to hold the reins. I tried to control it. And I'm going to share this with y'all, but don't judge me. So I showed you I was a dentist. The control was so bad that at work, I never showed it. I always showed face, right? Because that's what we do. We show face. But on the inside, I felt the tension. I felt the frustration building up. So when the staff didn't do what I thought they should do or what they knew to do, it's not even what I thought they should do. You know, if people didn't show up on time, if the patients didn't show up on time, I just felt the frustration and the tension. So yes, I showed up. Good morning. But on the inside, I felt like I was sinking. I wanted to control so many things. If the kids were screaming, I knew I couldn't control them to like screaming. But what I wanted to do, like on the inside, I'm an empath. So I was feeling all of that. So the therapist really just helped me let go. For you mamas out there, when you tell the kids to do something and they act like they don't want to do it and you're the one paying the bills, oh, that anger, that frustration builds up. Yes, some of us show face, other ones let it out. But a good licensed therapist can help shift your perspective and help you release some of that control. So I'm really, really thankful for that experience. I started my journey on BetterHelp. That's an app. And so many more online platforms have come out since COVID. So I'm thankful for that. I'm not excited about COVID, but I'm so thankful that the veil, that the importance of mental health began to come to the forefront. So BetterHelp was where I started. I do recommend it, but there are other online platforms. Another website where I found one of my therapists was Therapy for Black Girls. Love that website. Dr. Joy's doing a great job. And you can see the profile of the therapist. You can go through it based upon what state you're in. Because from my understanding, a therapist has to be licensed in the state that they're performing therapy, even if it's virtual, they have to be licensed in your state. Psychology Today has a myriad of therapists on there, licensed therapists, trained therapists on there. And then the last resource I want to share is the Loveland Foundation. And I love this foundation because it supplies and offers free therapy vouchers for underserved women or women who may not be able to afford therapy because it's expensive. And you go and you apply, but they offer you these vouchers, and then you can reach out to the therapist from all these platforms, the Psychology Today, the Therapy for Black Girls. You can reach out and ask the therapist, hey, do you accept the Loveland Foundation's vouchers? So there are resources out there for you to get the help. But once again, the importance is advocating for yourself, advocating for yourself, advocating for yourself. The next bucket. So we talked about the P, the physical. We talked about the M, the mental health. Now let's talk about the spiritual or the emotional bucket. So I like to say that this pillar, this bucket, is linked to the mental bucket. So how you feel emotionally sometimes is connected to your mental health. your spiritual health, how you view the world, how you show up, what you believe in. Sometimes that can be connected to your mental health. But for this example, I do separate it. So we talked about the control. Let's talk about emotional intelligence. One of the therapists that I worked with really talked about the importance of learning how to be more self-aware, doing my weekly check-ins. So at one point when I was really in crisis, so I was really like just sad, crying all the time. They call that crisis a lot of times. I learned that then I needed to do daily check-ins. How am I feeling? What's going on? And I love this journal. I'll even show it. It's called the 5-Minute Journal. And what I loved about this journal is that it had some prompts in there where you can talk about what you're grateful for. You could talk about how you feel in this moment. You can say, what would make today a great day? And you're setting your intention of the day. You're being self-aware on how you feel, what you're grateful for. But then the next step is to work towards creating that great day for yourself. Of course, you need to be emotionally connected to it. So you can't say, today be a great day because I woke up. Like, that's not going to give you much motivation. But for example, I'll say, today is going to be a great day if I prepare and I show up and I'm able to talk to these remarkable women during the selfish summer and it's going to go well. What can I do in order to make those steps for me to have a successful experience? And then I work towards that. I can get up, I can get a workout, I can shower, I can put my lipstick on, I can go through my notes, things like that. So not just accepting the day for what it is and then coming home and be like, oh my God, today was trash. But purposely taking intentional steps and in essence, controlling what is in my arena to control. There's that control again. See, yeah, y'all, this healing journey is not a one-stop shop. It is a lifelong thing. There is no destination to arrive to. It's really a journey. But there are little things that we could do, little heart smile moments that we can work towards that can make the day great. So other than being self-aware, another thing that is under that emotional intelligent pillar is perspective. Changing your perspective. I remember one day at work, I just have a really, really, really tough case. And I was overwhelmed. I don't want to get into too much details, but y'all, I was ready to throw the day away. I was over it. And I went to my car and I thought to myself, did I just have a bad morning? Did I just have a bad day? Or did I have a bad 5 minutes? I remember hearing the saying that would you change, I think it's, don't quote me, let's just put it out there because I forgot to fact check myself, but say there is 36,000 or 3,600 minutes in a day. We're just throwing a number out there. Would you exchange $3,600 for $5? Or would you say, I'm keeping my $3,600. You can keep your $5. If we convert the dollars to minutes, like I said, y'all, I know I'm wrong because I forgot to fact check it. But if there's 3,600 minutes in a day and I had a bad 5 minutes, why do I throw away the whole day? Why don't I change my perspective and say, I had a bad couple moments, but I can still have a good day? And that's where that journal comes in. What steps can I take in spite? Take a deep breath, release it and let it go, move forward and shift my focus and my perspective to going back to having that good day. So therapy helps to improve that emotional intelligence. It helps you to be more self-aware. It also helps you to be more self-regulated. So emotions are a hell of a thing and they're here to protect us. But unfortunately, too often, many of us, myself included, and I've gotten better, instead of shifting, our nervous system is built up with two major systems to protect us. So we have our fight or flight, which is the things that help us get out of danger. It's the part of our nervous system that jumps and shrieks to protect ourselves. And then there's the other part of the nervous system, that parasympathetic nervous system, for those of us who are scientists, that is rest, process, digest, breathe through it. And a lot of times when things happen that are out of our control, or somebody scares us, or somebody's doing things that just takes us out of our comfort zone, we ultimately shift into that fight or flight. We snap, we freeze up. I'm not a snapping person, but I'll feel it in my shoulders. I'll feel it in my headache. I'll feel it in so many parts of my body. So the self-awareness, the practicing, the therapy, it almost trains you. Instead, like, you're going to react. But then after that reaction, because you've trained yourself, you go into that rest, that digest, that deep breath, that breathing faster. So you're able to self-regulate a lot faster, and you almost coach yourself. So you improve your emotional intelligence, you get more self-regulated, and in my opinion, you show up better. I know I have showed up so much better when I've worked on my emotional intelligence. You all see this healing journey is not a cakewalk. It requires intention, it requires determination, it requires motivation, and it requires commitment. But I'm here to one, support you, to encourage you, one, that you're not alone. And you no longer have to suffer in silence. There's so many platforms such as this. There's so many women showing up and saying, look, this was my story and it does not have to be yours. So if you can take two things, I usually say one, but I'm going to say two. I'm going to say one from either the physical, mental, and the spiritual pillar. I'm going to even, I'm going to motivate you to take one thing from the physical pillar. Just start moving, start walking, because it's almost like a hack. It's a shortcut to helping yourself feel better. Start moving. Go outside. It's sunny right now. Get some sunshine. Get that light. Increase your vitamin D levels. That also is a very quick mood improver. Those of us who work in offices, myself included, our vitamin D tends to be low. Take that vitamin D tablet, right? Go outside, get your sun, at least 15 minutes, and walk while you're out there. Even the first day, maybe you don't walk. First day, go and have lunch outside. Go sit outside. It is not strange. I have lunch. Actually, I have lunch every day by myself. And most of the times I'm outside. As long as it's not raining, I'm outside, because I know the importance of, one, getting my vitamin D, and two, getting my 15 minutes of walking. Okay? Start there. And then if you have time, make the time. Even if it's 10 minutes, ideally 15 minutes when you get home, but make the time. Pour into yourself. Choose your wellness. Choose you. And if you don't have anybody to watch your loved one, bring them with you. And then choosing one thing to do from the mental or the emotional bucket or the spiritual bucket. Do your yoga. The Insight Timer app, I forgot to share that with you. That Insight app also has breath work in there. Y'all, there is power in your breath. A lot of times when our nervous system transition into that fight or flight, we hold our breath and we tense up. So actually, I'm going to recommend that you try something different. Breath work is easy. It's free with that Insight Timer app. You can even go on YouTube. They have people that are doing breathwork instructions there, but I really like that Insight Timer app. They have changed the game, and there's a free version to it. So two things. Y'all saw me, I was about to say one. Two things. Pick two things. Get moving, and then pick something else. Start journaling. Get this 5-minute journal. It literally takes 5 minutes, and you're able to set the intention of your day in the morning. And then at night, you can go back, open it 5 more minutes, and then you can do a reflection. That journal has really kept me accountable and made me more self-aware, and I'm able to articulate myself better. As I said earlier, healing, it's not a destination. The little things matter, step by step, daily choices, filling your PMS cup. So when things happen, because life is going to happen, and you're not pouring from that empty cup. You're pouring from your overflow. And then there's something left for you at the end of the day. And then you take that time, your 15 minutes of walking or your 10 or 15 minutes of breath work, and you release the day. You see me breathing. I'm practicing my breath work as we speak. I'm regulating my nervous system. I want to be more in that rest, that digest, that processing where the blood is flowing to my brain. And I'm able to not just show up for myself first, but I'm able to show up as a better version of myself. And then I'm able to pour. I'm able to show up for my patients. I'm able to show up for the parents at work, because I always tell people I have two patients, the parent and the kid. I'm able to show up for my new husband. I think I shared with you that I got remarried last year. But more importantly, Trudy does not end the day depleted. And I'm able to show up here for you. So that's my story. You do not have to suffer in silence. It's time to break that silence. I've gone a step further, and because of my journey, I desire to have women come together. I've built a community where women come together and we help each other heal. We start that journey. I like to call myself that primary care doctor, where you come and you find what you need and then you take it and you move on. So I host wellness retreats to do that very thing. And I have coaching programs to do this very thing, where I'm not the specialist, but we partner with therapists, we partner with breathwork instructors, we partner with yoga instructors, whatever it is that you need, because everybody needs something different. But you don't know what you need until you break the silence. You open your mouth, you reach out for help. You say, I need something because this ain't working. Don't wait until you fall and you have your bathroom floor moment. Or you may have already had it. Sis, it's time to heal. It's 2024. Don't go to 2025. Don't go into 2025 the same way you're showing up in 2024. Take the tools, reach out. I'm here to help. Our next wellness retreat is actually local. The last one was in Jamaica in March, but I had so many people reach out and ask for a local one. So the next one is local here in Georgia. It's November 7th through the 10th. And we have a dynamic group of women that come together. We believe in our community that vulnerability begets vulnerability. So by me sharing, I showed up today and I shared a part of my story. It creates a safe space, a safe, non-judgmental space for other women to open up and share. And we don't just share, but we get the help that we need so that we can heal, and we heal together. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go in community. So join us as we build this community of women who come, share, and leave feeling healing, sharing their stories, and pouring into others. Love to see you. Looking forward